So the process to obtaining special education services begins with first identifying that a child has special needs compared to other students in a classroom. So first is the teacher kind of noticing something may seem a little bit off, or maybe a student is not performing as well as other students, or maybe having difficulty grasping certain subjects. When that is identified by either the teacher or maybe an outside resource person who may be in the classroom who notices something, the first step is to go on ahead and, notify the parents and the school that there might be something that the student is lacking that maybe the school can identify and help them with. So the first step would be to start the referral process, which is kind of like the pre-referral process. What that looks like is first identifying any interventions that can be used in the classroom to start with, to see if maybe those interventions can help the student. Now, if those interventions do not help the student, then we move on to the referral process. What the process looks like is first obtaining consent from the parent to conduct an evaluation on the student. At this stage, it's important to be mindful of any types of assessments that may be discriminatory to any specific group of individuals. An example of this would be using IQ tests on African American students. This would be something that may be discriminatory toward those individuals given the history noted by the IDEA. Once an evaluation is conducted, eligibility is determined. So what that looks like is determining if there's a disability that hinders a student's ability to learn in school. If there is no disability identified, then the team goes back to identifying other interventions in the classroom. Now, if there is a disability that is noted, then the team develops an IEP and determines what that student's least restrictive environment would be. Okay. Once the IEP is developed and they identify the LRE, the IEP is presented to the parent and the IEP team, and then they move on to implementing that IEP. Now, after the IEP is put in place, at a minimum, the team should meet yearly to determine progress, to conduct any evaluations that the student may have. This isn't necessarily a stopping point. A team can always meet if they feel like there's a need to meet sooner than a year, but typically the team is to meet by law annually to discuss the student's progress. There's also triannual evaluations that are done, which is every 3 years, which some districts do. For example, I know I have a couple of triannuals coming up where those students are given specific tests just to see how they're doing.